Meditations on coffee. I have recently purchased a cheap espresso machine from Kmart, and consequently, my daily coffee has drastically changed in the terms of quality. I bought some cheap coffee beans, some barista oat milk because my stomach can't tolerate cow milk, bought a milk jug for frothing milk. I was excited because barista coffee is expensive to have every day, and I have been having constant instant coffee for daily life to this point. Another consequence of this addition to my life is that my whole morning routine has changed. I had to wake up about 10-15 minutes earlier than usual if I wanted to grind beans and make espresso and froth milk to make my latte. I was bad at it at first, but I've been improving. It has drastically changed the whole dynamic of my mornings. But recently the temperatures have started to drop even lower. This was inevitable as we ease into the coming of the winter months, but that also means getting out of bed has become even less appealing. I tend to fight for those extra minutes under my blanket and have become rather unenthused by the thought of getting up earlier for a cuppa. This morning I woke up early, but I recoiled from the thought of getting out of bed. Quite strongly, I might add. I eventually did though, but when I got into the warm shower, I became even more reluctant to step out and spent a few more minutes longer than necessary. By the time I got to dressing up, I was left with less than 10 minutes until the ideal time I have to leave the house to catch my early morning train. So I decided to take my time getting ready and just make instant coffee for the on-the-go cuppa. Since the day I purchased my machine until today, I have been going for almost 3 weeks, doing that extra step in the morning to make espresso with frothed oat milk and drink it on the way to catch the train. The qualitative effects were subtle, but definitely there. I digress. As I walked down the slopes of the Liverpool footpath, I took one sip of my coffee and I was gobsmacked. Years and years of having instant coffee in the morning and only having real coffee occasionally, I knew there was a difference in quality, but this time it felt more like this fact slapped me in the face. There is a Chinese expression that essentially means it is easier to go from frugality to luxury than it is to go from luxury to frugality. This flashed in my mind for a bit, but immediately my thoughts raised an objection. In my mind, my taste buds said to me it was not so much an issue of price as it was authenticity. The problem is that I went from high quality no, the problem is not that I went from high quality coffee to low quality. It is that I went from real coffee to fake. The two are entirely incomparable. At this moment, as I forced myself to swallow down what could only be called bitter-sweetened water with creamer, my thoughts take me to an analogy. The idea of real and fake. People live the first few years of or even decades of their lives worshipping their own acknowledged gods, themselves, money, fame, career, other people, or whatever floats your boat. Depending on how soon they encounter the one true God, they go on living okay for years on end. But then a paradigm shift happens when we get to encounter the Lord. Under the vastness of His glory, we can't help but center our lives on Him. He changes the way we talk, our priorities, our goals, our attitudes, our character, even our routine. It sounds more cumbersome than just a few additional minutes out of bed, right? But the quality leap is phenomenally more drastic too. Once you have experienced the joy, the peace, the hope, and the love of the Lord, no other created thing can ever compare. The pleasures those other gods offer pale in comparison to the beauty of God's very presence. So what do? We put away other gods. Well, yes, we don't throw them away, we put them away in the cupboard. Out of sight, but still there. Just like sachets of instant coffee sitting in the hidden corner of the cupboard, neglected after the joys of having real espresso. But when it comes inconvenient, when it is too cold to wake up early for devotions, when the church service is too far, when the wallet is too empty, when speaking about the Lord in anything outside of a comedic context becomes frowned upon, when obeying God's ways of doing things becomes too hard, when that coworker is just way too hard to handle, when the car in front has a fearlessly reckless driver, when following Jesus means taking up your cross and you realize how the actual cross is too heavy, we balk, we recoil, and then we remember. Want these sachets of instant coffee in the cupboard? They're easy to make and won't take too much time. I can be comfortable and take longer in the shower. I can take a couple more minutes in bed. I only need the caffeine kick anyway. I've had it before and life was okay then. In the same way, we take out other gods because what matters is that I'm happy, right? But tell me, how does your fake God compare to the real God? Do they provide for you, listen to you, rearrange history to rescue you from your own mess? Do they respond to your calls? Do they give you new mercies in the morning? Do they give you peace beyond understanding? Do they give you joy that surpasses hardships? I ask you, pray tell, does your instant God that's easier and more convenient to worship willingly suffer and die in your place so that you don't have to, and then defeat death so that you can walk free of sin's punishment? Because the one true God, he already did. Idolatry is evil, not just because it is rebellion against God, but also because it is the changing of your object of worship from who truly delights your soul into what can only deceive it. So I'd like to ask you, how is the instant coffee? For your servant's sake, O Lord, and according to your own heart, you have done all this greatness in making known all these great things. There is none like you, O Lord, and there is no God beside you. According to all that we have heard with our ears. 1 Chronicles 17:19-20. Thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it finds its rest in thee. From the Confessions by Augustine of Hippo.